Run, everybody, run.
Go, start.
When Gazelle wake up, run.
I'm anticipating, yes, I'm anticipating we'll see him for maybe, hopefully, maybe another 3 fights.
Time.
But right now, I'm still young, still hungry, still want to be number one.
He already beat Bilal. If he could beat Islam Makhachev, he's the fighter of the year. And I don't think there's anything that can top that.
Islam Makhachev is openly challenging the welterweight division, but the UFC world is concerned about the news that Islam is going to retire after 3 more fights in the UFC. Recently, Javier Mendez said that Islam Makhachev could have around 3 more fights before calling it a career. While he's optimistic about Islam's future, Mendez emphasized that nothing is guaranteed, especially with tough contenders like Jack Della Maddalena potentially in the mix. He acknowledged JDM as a serious challenge and made it clear that while confidence is important, overlooking an opponent of that caliber would be a mistake.
Yeah, a lot of people talking about the fact that he might not stick around long, but I reckon I think there's still a couple of big fights there at least for him. Like we've got Ilia Topuria potentially after this, a title defense. There could be another fight with JDM if things are close. Like, do you anticipate we see him around for at least another couple of fights?
I'm anticipating, yes, I'm anticipating we'll see him for maybe, hopefully, maybe another 3 fights total. You know, let's see who's in the works on that, and let's say, you know, if we get by JDM, which is, you know, I don't want to really say we're gonna get by him because this he's a tough customer, and you know, I'm gonna be positive in the fact that we're gonna win, but it's kind of hard to overlook JDM, you know.
However, Islam Makhachev's manager, Ali Abdelaziz, rejected Javier Mendez's claims about Islam potentially retiring soon. According to Abdelaziz, Makhachev isn't even considering retirement and plans to continue competing at the highest level for at least 3 more years. Ali Abdelaziz stated, Islam Makhachev, nothing thinking about retirement, at least 3 more years of high-level competition. UFC legend Daniel Cormier looked sad to hear that news and expressed concern over the possibility that Islam Makhachev may only have 3 fights left. He finds it troubling that such a dominant and young champion might already be thinking about stepping away. Cormier sees this as part of a larger, sad trend in MMA, where top fighters consider retiring early. He believes it's disappointing for fans. Despite Islam's success, the thought of his early exit is unsettling.
Scary to me.
Daniel Cormier shared that the only hope for him and the fans right now is that Islam Makhachev himself hasn't confirmed the retirement talk, but he feels if Islam were to say he has only 3 fights left, it would be a serious concern for MMA fans, similar to when Khabib retired. Cormier emphasized that fans still want to see Islam in many exciting matchups, including potential bouts with Jack Della Maddalena and Ilia Topuria.
It's crazy.
Earlier, Islam Makhachev shut down retirement rumors, saying he's not thinking about stepping away anytime soon. He made it clear that he still feels strong, motivated, and hungry to stay at the top. His focus remains on defending his lightweight title and eventually aiming for a 2nd belt. Islam said he'll only consider retiring when he starts feeling different or losing his edge, but for now, he's all in.
But right now, I'm still young, still hungry, still want to be number one.
Daniel Cormier further reflected on the possibility of Islam Makhachev retiring after just 3 more fights, calling it crazy. He also mentioned Justin Gaethje recently saying he might retire if he doesn't get another title shot. Cormier expressed concern for fans who followed the sport during what he considers one of the UFC's golden eras, a time marked by star power, elite skill, and unforgettable fights. He emphasized how special this generation of fighters has been, both in competition and legacy.
We are talking about honestly make their living.
On the other hand, a new controversy is emerging about Islam's move to the welterweight division. Recently, Umar Nurmagomedov revealed that UFC executive Hunter Campbell visited Dagestan to discuss a potential move to welterweight with Islam Makhachev. According to Umar, the UFC may be pushing for this shift because they want Ilia Topuria to take over the lightweight division, believing Topuria has greater star power and marketability for major fights.
Играми, что Махачкалу в Дагестан прилетал Хантер Кэмпбелл, это вот правая рука Даны Уайта, наверное, второй человек UFC, можно сказать, который принимает решения. Вообще для всех это какое-то удивление было. Как? Потому что нигде он никуда не летал.
Да, мы сами были.
Не, вот как он попал и почему вообще прилетел? Как это получилось?
Он сам прилетел. Ну, такой, знаешь, как он очень сильно погружен в работу. И это тот человек, который сделал бой Khabib Conor. Он такой человек, который большой фанат. Как я понял, он очень большой фанат именно боев. Большие бои хочет делать. Он прилетел, и он, я не знаю, честно, я не знаю, это можно говорить или нет, но они хотели, чтобы Ислам поднялся. Они хотели из Топурию чемпиона в 70 килограмм сделать. Это не потому, что Ислам хочет наверх подняться, а потому, что они хотят его чемпионом там видеть. Потому что они думают, что он будет продавать бои.
However, Umar Nurmagomedov said that Islam Makhachev wasn't willing to vacate his lightweight title. According to Umar, Islam's new goal is to move up, capture the welterweight belt, and then return to lightweight, aiming to hold both titles simultaneously.
То есть сам Хантер, представляешь, прилетает к тебе и просит, поднимись.
Ну вот план был такой, если выиграет Билал, Ислам должен был защищать пояс. 70.
Против Билала.
Против
Нет,
70 килограмм. Но сейчас, когда Билала уже там нету, Ислам 77 поднимется, ну, будет двойным чемпионом, иншаллах.
Слушай, то есть не отказываясь
Ислам
от
не
того.
Ислам не хочет отказываться,
правильно.
он хочет подраться 70.
Я так понимаю, Ислам же может тогда, получается, забрать пояс 77, вернуться в свой вес с поясом и стать двойным. В принципе,
он же Да.
Daniel Cormier also reacted to that statement from Umar and highlighted how much attention Islam Makhachev draws, noting that even those close to him are speaking out. He referenced Umar Nurmagomedov's claim that Islam never wanted to vacate his lightweight title and still hopes to return to 155 after winning gold at welterweight. While Cormier understands that intention, he pointed out the reality: cutting as much weight as Islam does is extremely tough, especially when it's no longer necessary.
Islam is knowing that you carry the gold.
Islam Makhachev's coach, Javier Mendez, also addressed the possibility of Islam returning to lightweight after a welterweight fight. He said a comeback could happen, especially if Ilia Topuria is still champion and the UFC wants that matchup, but nothing is guaranteed. Mendez emphasized that everything depends on the UFC's direction and opportunities, with their full focus currently on getting past Jack Della Maddalena.
There's a chance we might actually see Islam potentially come back down to lightweight after capturing this welterweight belt, or do you think that's it for him and he's just going to be focusing on the 170 division?
You know, it is possible that he may want to do that. I don't really know. If we can manage to get by Jack, you know, and you know, the situation arises where they want him to fight the Topuria if he's the champ, then let's see what happens. But I don't know. I don't know exactly how it's going to play out, because we're all playing what if with this, that, because we may never get that opportunity. The UFC may never give us that opportunity to explore these avenues. But I like the prospects of Islam having so many options, you know. But again, you know, we have to get by JDM before any of these things can come next, you know.
Javier Mendez shared his pride in Islam Makhachev for finally getting the chance to pursue a second UFC title. He said Islam had been aiming for this moment since becoming champion, not for financial gain, but to build a lasting legacy. According to Mendez, once fighters like Islam are secure financially, their focus shifts to making history. If Islam wins at welterweight, Mendez believes he could solidify his place among the sport's all-time greats, possibly in the top 3.
You know, I'm very happy for him, because he's been wanting this opportunity from years back. You know, when he was champion, when he was first champion, he wanted this opportunity to go for a legacy fight. You know, and that's what these kids are all about. You know, they're not about the money. If they have enough money, they're about the legacy. They want the legacy fights, and that's what Islam is doing now. He's going after legacy, and if he's successful, that's exactly what he's going to get. You know, he's going to put himself on the forefront as one of the greatest of all time, you know, and that's what I believe is going to happen with him. And who knows, before it's all said and done, he might be considered the greatest, or considered the 1, 2, or 3 in the top 3. You know, I don't know, but he's definitely on line for that.
Javier Mendez revealed that Islam Makhachev had plans to move up to welterweight long before Ilia Topuria was seen as a top contender. He explained that Islam always aimed to be an active champion and defend his lightweight title, but also had his sights set on becoming a double champion. According to Mendez, this ambition was in motion well before Topuria's rise in the division.
This is after about the first or second fight. I don't remember exactly which one that he defended his title. He said, I want to come in and I want to do something where I can go after the welterweight title. This is before Bilal Muhammad was champion. And I said, that's a great idea. He goes, I want to defend the lightweight title more than anybody. Then after that, if I get an opportunity, I want to go for the welterweight title. He goes, what do you think about that? I said, the idea is fantastic. So this has been on our radar way back then, before Topuria was anybody even known in our radar. So the mission is still as it was back then, you know, and now it's coming through for what he wants.
Daniel Cormier also discussed Islam Makhachev's upcoming title fight against Jack Della Maddalena, suggesting it will likely happen in late fall or early winter. He speculated that the bout could take place at Madison Square Garden or during the UFC's end-of-year pay-per-view in Las Vegas. According to Cormier, several major cards are available, but it's expected to land on one of the final events of the year.
Islam's of the year.
On the other hand, Din Thomas believes that if Jack Della Maddalena defeats Islam Makhachev, he should be crowned Fighter of the Year. He pointed out that Jack already holds a win over Bilal Muhammad, and adding Islam's name to that list would make his year unmatched in terms of achievement.
Jack Della Maddalena maybe our Fighter of the Year if he gets the start.
If Jack Della Maddalena could beat, he already beat Bilal. If he could beat Islam Makhachev, he's the Fighter of the Year, and I don't think there's anything that can top that.
Kamaru Usman also weighed in on the Islam Makhachev versus Jack Della Maddalena fight without making a clear prediction. He emphasized that fans shouldn't underestimate Jack, calling him extremely talented and pointing out that he's already proven himself as a champion. At the same time, Usman acknowledged Islam's pound-for-pound dominance. He called it an intriguing matchup and said while he's not picking sides, he'll be watching closely, and he's ready to face the winner.
So, do you predict that Islam would win the 70 belt once that fight gets made?
I'm not predicting anything. All I'm saying to you guys is stop sleeping on JDM. He's very, very talented. Very, very talented. That's why he's the champion right now. So let's not sleep on him. Islam, of course, is pound for pound #1. So let's not sleep on them too. It's gonna be an interesting fight. I will be watching that fight. Yeah. And I'll take the winner.
Islam Makhachev's manager, Ali Abdelaziz, addressed the potential matchup with Jack Della Maddalena, saying Islam is the biggest name in the division and the only one truly deserving of the spotlight. While he acknowledged Jack's all-around skills, Ali believes it's too early for him to face someone like Islam. He described it as a nightmare stylistic matchup for Jack, pointing to Islam's years of dominance as proof that the outcome won't be any different this time.
It's going to be Islam and JDM next for the title. Do you think he takes the next spot?
Islam is the biggest name in the division. There's nobody else. He's one of the biggest names in the division. You know, listen, at the end of the day, I believe Islam will stop JDM, respectfully. If we look over JDM, this guy's so talented. He's good everywhere. And I think it's too early, too soon for him. Islam just have the worst matchup. Islam been smashing people for the last 10 years. And he's going to keep smashing people.
UFC middleweight fighter Jack Hermanson praised Islam Makhachev's dominance at lightweight, calling him possibly the pound-for-pound best and nearly unbeatable in that division. However, he expressed uncertainty about how Islam will perform at welterweight, saying it's hard to predict such a fight. While acknowledging Jack Della Maddalena's impressive performance against Gilbert Burns, Hermanson still slightly leaned toward Islam, but admitted more welterweight fights are needed to truly judge.
Yeah, it's so hard because you never know when people are changing weight classes. But in lightweight, you know, Islam looks like unbeatable. It's just like maybe, you know, maybe the pound for pound best. He's just so insanely good. But can he do it in a weight class above? I'm not sure. Really hard to predict a fight like that. I think I still have to say Islam.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think so. Yeah, we need to see a few more fights with Jack. He looked amazing against Bilal, but yeah, I don't know, man. It's something about Islam is just so good.
Merab Dvalishvili's coach, John Wood, shared that the Islam versus Jack Della Maddalena matchup is compelling, especially after Jack's strong showing against Gilbert Burns. He noted that Jack has now experienced a champion's grappling style, similar to Islam's, but believes Islam does it even better. Wood thinks Jack has the advantage on the feet, but the key question is whether his takedown defense can hold up. He admitted it's hard to bet against Islam right now until someone truly exposes a weakness in his game.
I like it. I think that's a great fight. I feel like if Jack could keep building upon what he did in his, you know, in against Bilal, I mean, he's seen that style now from a champion, and it's, you know, very similar to what Islam's going to do. I think Islam does it a little bit better. So as long as Jack is improving and getting better and his confidence is there, it's very interesting. I feel like on the feet, you know, I think Jack's got him on the feet. It's just that obviously if that takedown defense can hold up, that's the thing with Islam. Obviously everybody is like, it's one of those things where you can't bet against Islam at this point in time until you see a chink in the armor. It's like betting against Morocco.
John Wood acknowledged Islam Makhachev's ground game as elite and described him as a different kind of threat on the mat. He also noted that Islam's striking is effective enough to create openings for takedowns. While Wood admitted there are some flaws in Islam's entries and areas that can be exploited, he believes Islam's team has mastered a dominant style. If Jack Della Maddalena can figure out how to capitalize on those weaknesses, it could be a tough night for Islam. Still, Wood emphasized he wouldn't bet against Islam until someone actually breaks his code.
Is a different kind of cat on the ground, you know, and his striking is not bad. You know, he's going to come at you and get you to strike and eventually, you know, take a shot. There are some holes in his game and holes in the entries and you know, obviously you know, being Team Khabib, there are definitely some things that you can expose to get that win. And if Jack figures that out, I think it'd be the long night for Islam. But again, I wouldn't bet against Islam until I see somebody kind of break that code.
UFC middleweight fighter Mansour Abdul Malik backed Islam Makhachev to win against Jack Della Maddalena. He praised Jack's performance against Belal Muhammad, but pointed out that Belal didn't use much wrestling, something Islam definitely will. Mansour emphasized that Islam's skills go beyond grappling, highlighting his striking and high-level fight IQ. He believes Islam's discipline, adaptability, and championship mindset will be the deciding factors. Confidently, he stated that Islam will come in, execute, and get the win.
Islam for sure. Jack's fight with Belal was amazing. It was an amazing fight. And we saw that Belal didn't use his wrestling that much. But Islam will. Islam will. I mean, you can't just say that he's going to use the wrestling and that's just going to be the end-all, be-all. Islam has good striking as well. In addition to that, his ability to stick to the game plan and adapt in the heat of the moment. Championship material right there. Championship IQ, championship focus. He's going to come in there and he's going to win. I feel it, I know it, and I trust it.
Welterweight contender Stephen Thompson also shared his thoughts on Islam Makhachev's jump to 170, saying the move brings real challenges due to the size and strength of welterweights. He mentioned that many in the division cut from over 205 pounds, which could put Islam at a physical disadvantage despite his grappling skills. Thompson acknowledged Islam's dominance, but reminded fans that Jack Della Maddalena has already dealt with strong wrestlers like Belal Muhammad. He noted that at welterweight, it's not just height, it's raw power that makes the difference.
I don't know, man. I mean, when you're going up to the welterweight division, those are some big boys. And I know Islam Makhachev walks around fairly heavy, but a lot of these 170s, they walk around real heavy. I'm talking about, you know, over 205, 210 to the 215. Some of the guys that I faced would walk around at that weight. I mean, I think like the height, I think they might be the same height. I think JD might be a little taller, but when it comes to those guys and their strength, Islam, I think, is going to have a tough time. Now, do I think he could get it done? Yes. I think he's that good of a grappler. But like I said, JDM has faced some of the best welterweight grapplers and wrestlers in the division. Belal being one of them. I think it's going to be a tough night for him. I would like to see Islam fight Topuria. That's just me. I would love to see that fight happen. But if he comes up, we'll see what the UFC gets behind. And we all know you got to convince the UFC to make it happen. And you do that first by getting on Twitter, shouting it out, and get people talking about it. And that's what Islam did. So we'll see if that fight happens with JDM.
So this is all we have from today's video, and hopefully you enjoyed it. Share your thoughts and predictions about this fight in the comments section, and subscribe to our channel to get more updates about this highly anticipated encounter.